How's it going, people? Welcome back to the Supporters Club. Today we're going to discuss the Arsenal hierarchy. We're going to discuss everything from Kroenke to Arteta to Raul and even some Dangote in there as well. Today I've got with me Laurie. This is the first time on this one, isn't it?
First time, bro.
Come on.
Happy to be here with such an esteemed panel.
Obviously Deluded.
Thank you for having me, my guy.
No
man.
worries, and Curtis is back.
Respect, bro.
Come on, thank you guys for coming on.
Go easy on me, man.
On you, yeah? Listen, this is a no-holds-barred panel over here.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
But let's start with you, Laurie. Obviously, like I said, the Arsenal hierarchy, they've been in the limelight for a little while now, considering the mismanagement of the club in the last decade, what we've come from, what we've become. But I want to focus on the last couple of years, to be exact. I know post-Wenger especially, there was some movement at last in terms of Kroenke actually doing something for once. Instead of sitting idle on his hands, he actually done something. And I think at that point, a lot of fans then gave them a clean slate. I believe that was wrong. What do you think about the Kroenkes in the past 2 years post-Wenger?
Post-Wenger, well, the first thing I would say is that Wenger going was right for the club. I know there was a lot of fallout in terms of what people were saying at the time, and a lot of people felt that fans were being unnecessarily harsh, but I thought it was right for him to go.
I agree.
I was a Wenger fan when he first took over, and I'd watched his progress and I'd watched the decline, but it was the right time for him to go. Since then, like you said, the club acted at long last, and we're hopeful for some changes, some positive change. I think we're seeing some green shoots, but we're still not there yet.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say with the board that struck me over the last couple of years, they seem to be a bit reactive rather than proactive. And that showed itself even with the appointment of Arteta. We seemed to let a couple of things go.
True.
We were linked with all these various managers, we didn't get them. We've ended up with Arteta now, which appears as if that might be a good appointment, but yeah, I'm still a little unhappy with some of the things that go on, but I guess we'll have to.
That's a very good point you've made. Even I forgot about that one. The time we took to get Arteta in, if he was truly who we wanted, it shouldn't have taken more than 5 days to a week. Let's be honest.
I don't think there's any fans out there that can really say that Arteta was the go-to man that we wanted.
Yeah.
We'd heard about him doing a good interview when he initially went for the job the year before. I'd heard that. We all heard that, didn't we?
Good PowerPoint.
But he wasn't the name on everyone's lips. Everyone seemed to want a big name, an established guy. For whatever reasons, those didn't work out.
We might move on to that in a second.
Both of you say that Jose thing.
Well, you're saying Jose as well, yeah?
Yeah, I would have taken, I mean, you know what, I'm going to keep it real. Curtis was the first person to put that to me seriously. And at the time, I was like a lot of man, it's like a knee-jerk thing. Man. No. But then he told me, and I asked him his reasons, and this is why I respect this man so much, because I said, why are you so keen on Mourinho? And he broke it down to me, and he was basically saying that when you appoint a manager, you have to look at the conditions at which you appoint that manager in. And at the time, I was looking at some of the failings of the club, and I thought a strong character like Mourinho with a good reputation, who would get the respect of the players. I thought, you know what, that's not a bad shout. So yeah, I was with him on that.
Obviously, we're not sticking
No,
there.
not to
Deluded
say-
just ruled out of nowhere.
No, not to say that I would rule out other man, but I could see why that Mourinho
Yeah, I
one would
understand that,
make
because
sense.
to be fair, Chris Hudson done the same thing with me at the AFTV, the million subscriber. He talked to me, gave me some very good points. I couldn't argue against it really, even though I was more on the other side.
And the one thing about me, right, I'm not one of those fans, maybe because I'm a lot older than a lot of guys. I don't go with this kind of emotional, sentimental stuff. So man was saying to me, how could you want Mourinho after what you said about Wenger? Listen, bro, that Mourinho-Wenger was what happened at the time. The two men have made up since then, they've moved on. So why am I, as a fan, holding on to that and saying, I don't want him because of... Come on, bro, that's child's play. You know what I mean? The two men have moved on. They've settled their differences. Who am I to say I don't want Mourinho because he called him a specialist in failure? Listen, a lot of you, man, not you, a lot of them, man, that was saying that, you were saying the same thing about Wenger yourself. So come on, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you know?
And like I said, you made a valid point with that initial Arteta and not being the one we originally wanted. Curtis, when I look at the hierarchy, I want to delve into Raul, Vinay a bit more, even Edu to a certain extent. Obviously, Edu's had less time here. But with Raul and Vinay, how do you see their impact so far?
Vinay, I don't really...
Businessman.
Something about him I don't like, you know.
He's a money man, that's it.
Yeah, he don't strike me as a football man.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be a football man, really.
You don't, but I
in
think
that
you have to have
position.
some understanding of the
To some
way
degree,
the
you know.
club should run. I think Raul, we was calling him Don Raul and hailing him in the summer. Everyone got a little bit carried away.
Arsenal Twitter exploded.
Arsenal
with all of
Twitter,
that.
you know. And sometimes you got to look at, you think some of the signings are not necessarily the ones we wanted. It's the ones that made sense financially. Like we said with Pepe before, I'm almost certain we wanted Zaha. But because they didn't want to put the money down, it made sense to get Pepe. Buy now, pay later. You know what Arsenal are like, cash generators.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And every player we're linked with, you hear like, oh, his agent is him. And then you think, oh, that's why Raul wants
Like the relations and
yeah,
that,
so it's like, is he doing it like ringing his friends and saying, oh, do me a favour, get me a striker, get me a left back. So I'm not totally convinced by him at the moment. I think there are bits of hope that we can cling on to, but I think there's a long way to go.
Yeah, because there is evidence, again, a good point, there's evidence there of mismanagement again, even from the new regime there. I mean, when you look at, I've mentioned it before on AFTV, when you look at Socrates' signing, we spent 17 mil on him, Leicester bought Soyuncu for 19.5, yeah. Demiral went to Juventus for 18 mil, we signed, Luis for 7. Surely we could have pulled that one out the bag. Unfortunately, he's injured now.
Yeah.
But 2 very good defenders have gone, and in return, we've bought 2 defenders that are has-beens. And so
You
I
know
have to
what?
look at,
I'm going to disagree with you slightly on that, man. I think David Luiz has been a good signing so far for me.
in what sense?
Because you got a quality footballer and you got him for next to nothing. Okay, you know, his early performances, there were 1 or 2 dodgy. He's error prone, but he's a good player, man, and you get him for next to nothing.
There's an argument to be had there.
I don't think it's such a bad sign.
And we replaced, when you look at it as we lost Koscielny, replaced with Luis, okay, but even before that, in and out, we needed a centre-back. So why didn't we go and get this 18 mil Demiral going Juventus on top of De Ligt going there, on top of Ramsey, on top of Rabiot, a club there that's run really well in Juventus. In the last, 5 years, they've got a lot of free players in, a lot of good loans, a lot of good young
Doing
players
the right
coming through.
things.
Yeah.
The right things. It's something we should really be looking into, and it's something I expected from the new regime. We wasn't going to turn the corner and start spending mega bucks all of a sudden because we sacked Wenger. But I thought we were going to bring in people a bit more shrewd in the market.
No, but at the time when we got David Luiz, am I right in thinking that we tried to go for a few other guys, but for whatever reason,
We
their
got him late,
availability
we
weren't
got him
there.
late in the window.
So for what I'm saying is,
At the time.
It wasn't
I
bad.
mean,
At the time-
I'm going to keep it real, man. He's been our best central defender this season. People can say, and the
yeah.
genesis for a lot of the hate on Luiz, or a lot of the detractors, is because he's ex-Chelsea. And again, we go back to the same thing about over-sentiment by the fans. Oh, he's Chelsea, so we don't... Come on, bro.
For
The
me-
man's playing
Go
well.
on.
We got him for next to nothing. To me, that's good business.
For me, I'm a bit different because I agree with what you're saying to a degree in that he's been a decent player. I feel it's not necessarily with Luiz. I feel if you look at it without emotion, you know what you're going to get with David Luiz. Good mentality, good on the ball, but he's going to let you down defensively. Under Arteta early days, but it looks like he's turned a new leaf. He looks like he's fixing up. My problem is, what's the point of doing that for about 2 years? Because he's contracted until 2021. Next season, you're going to have to either get rid of him or, which I believe, it will be Socrates and he'll stay and finish his deal.
Stopgaps.
Exactly. So what's been the point giving him that wage and all of these things for that? It's not like, nothing to do with Luiz to a degree, but it's not like you was going there and getting that, you know, that kind of on paper defender that's of that age and he'll be in the side. What's been the point? Because you said Socrates, there's been no longevity thinking and you almost get what you pay for. Socrates, he's been a better signing than I thought he would have been. I'll keep it real.
Yeah.
But he's kind of capped. Their ceilings are capped. And I look at the Lichtsteiners and stuff like that. You know you need a backup right back. Shout out to Maitland for doing his thing now. But go out and get a competent one. You get out what you pay for. Even the loan signings. I'm not criticising the signing of Ceballos per se because I was happy with it. It just hasn't worked out right now. But that's around 4.5 million, I swear. Dennis Suarez last season was about 5 million. And on top of that, the key one for me with the board was the contracts. We heard, and what I loved when Raul took over, he said he was not on players running out deals into the last 2 years. You've got our top goal scorer, regardless of if you're in the camp of selling him for money or keeping him. More speculation. You've got Lacazette on the horizon. We've spoken about David Luiz 2021. We've spoken about a couple of other players. There's too much uncertainties over players. And when you look at it, it's really the spine of the side. David Luiz and Socrates, right now they deserve to start, but their contracts run out the same. You've got your top striker. You've got Lacazette the year after that. Where is it? And it's really in danger if that Luiz was our last option. It's easy for me as a fan to sit here and say, oh, okay, cool, we should have done this and that. But there's people that are paid to scout footballers. Yeah. Do you not have a list of 10, 20 centre-halves of varying different calibre? If we can't get him, we're going to get him. We can do this and that. Curtis made a great point about like calling up friends and whatnot to get players. I'm very scared about that sort of things generally, but that could be a good thing as well.
But what you say as friends, other people might term as
but you should be able to use them connections to a good thing. We heard South American market on lock. He's got the connections and stuff. Why are we not getting not necessarily world-class players, but players that can make the difference? Because you get what you pay for. Look at the signing of Lichtsteiner. You got him to be a backup right back. At times he's shown you last season he's capped. Luiz has shown us he's turned a corner, but time and time again these players will show their frailties. Yeah. So
I think it's slightly different with David Luiz though, because let's be honest, he's Premier League testing, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's not. It's more. It's not like I said. It's not Luiz the person. It's what we're doing.
Do you think we made a mistake letting Mislintat go because he was trying to unearth gems
to a degree, 100%.
In the market, and we've gone with Raul, who probably has only got his Barcelona book of players, more established players, and we haven't got the money to really get the top ones. I mean, in this January window, we're being linked with players who I'm thinking, is it 2015?
Like
12, Mertens and Cavani and these.
Oh, 12,
I'm thinking we should have signed these guys 5 years ago. Boateng, like, come on, like
it sounds panic.
You made the point about contracts. Didn't we learn our lesson from Sanchez and Ozil? Both their contracts ending in the same season.
Make decisions
That's
early.
How we really left that situation up. Again, we're kind of doing the same thing all over again. They're saying one thing with the contract.
You're right. You do have to have a long-term plan, but to be fair to the board, you're also going to get put in positions whereby you have to act.
Yeah. No, they have done some good things. I'm not going to Pepe and that's been all right.
And whatever.
And on that point, to be fair to the board, I actually want to be fair now because as you was talking, I thought of that. Hang on, Martinelli.
Yeah. Decent. And that's what I want to see more.
Guendouzi, Torreira, Leno. They've actually done some good things.
But you see what you said there. You see what you said there. You listed 3 players. 2 were scouted by Mislintat allegedly, and I don't know the specifics of Edu, but isn't it? I can never say his name, but Cahigio, he was behind the Martinelli thing. So what I'm saying is, it seems like there's a conflict. What is our strategy in the market? In an ideal world, clearly we want the up and rising players. But for me, you have one strategy, but when you need to identify specifically experienced players to go side by side, what are we doing? It seems like we're freestyling too much. Like like you said at the start, we're reactive. Like we probably heard David Luiz, he wants to leave Chelsea. They want to get rid of him. We thought, okay, we're a London club. He won't have to up sticks. He will probably take this. We'll give him his deal. That's not. If that was isolated from Luiz, that could be a good business plan. But
we're doing it too
like
much.
We're bargain basement. Like you know when you remember the shop game where you used to buy PlayStation games. There used to be games for 99p second hand. That's what we're dipping in there and getting stuff.
Taking the box.
It's dead.
Because even if you look at someone like Leicester, they were resigned to losing Harry Maguire in 2018. So what did they do? Like I said, the Soyuncu deal. So when the Maguire deal does come through the next season, they're already backed up in advance and they've already made a profit and they're already rolling into another season. So all of this talk about Arsenal being run as a good business throughout all them years under Wenger and whatnot.
No, but that is that's with respect. That's slightly different. That's from a business revenue making aspect of the business. In terms of signing players and how you structure the club,
that's assets, though.
Different arm of the business.
We wasted our assets. Sanchez was probably £100 million player when he was at his best. Ozil, Aaron.
But some people would argue that us getting rid of Sanchez was a brilliant piece of business.
You can't have your cake and eat it.
No,
in hindsight,
hold your hands up. Not the deal we got. Not the Mkhitaryan swap. If we'd have sold him for big money, we don't even protect ourselves with contracts. You see, like Liverpool, Man City, when someone has a good year,
they protect their
assets. Give him a new deal straight away and extend it. So you ever want to go and buy him, you've got to spend 150 million.
And it's what you said about proactive, not reactive, in all aspects, not just on the field. So
they have improved things, but we're seeing mistakes that were there before. And you're wondering why have they not addressed that, especially the contracts and the transfers.
Yeah, and well, Emery, near the end of his reign, he came out and said in 2018 he wanted, who did he say he wanted?
Thomas Partey, he said.
No.
Maguire.
In 2018 he wanted Fabinho instead of Torreira.
Yeah.
But Liverpool beat us to it, and it was a pretty cheap deal, 40 million at the time.
Yeah.
When you look
One
at
thing
Fabinho,
I
he's
wanted
one of the
to,
best in the league
one
now.
thing that's always puzzled me with Arsenal is that these players that we're getting, are they at the behest of the manager? Or is this
Obviously
director of
not,
football
No, I don't
dictating?
not
Was it a
now.
strategy?
Emery
I've got
made
the-
it clear it
Yeah,
wasn't.
because I got the impression under Emery's reign, even with the way he treated Pepe and people like that, is
It's
that
not man that
They
he
weren't
wanted.
Yeah.
his players.
Yeah.
and that there's a conflict of interest there, isn't it? Because if it's a player that, so what we think typically happens is that the manager will say, right,
Puts a list down.
he will identify the areas in which he wants to strengthen, and he'll give the director of football or whoever is responsible a list of so many players as targets and say, go and get me these guys. They might not be always able to get them, but they'll offer them alternatives and they work on that basis. But it would appear with Arsenal is that them man was saying, look, this is who you're getting, and you got to
You
work
got to work
with.
with
You
it,
gotta
yeah.
work with it.
But that is
Well,
it though.
to-
It's head coach. That is
But
a
to
large
be
part
honest,
of it.
yeah.
I
Now, a lot
thought
of
that,
them.
And that's why
then
scouting's vital.
before the
But do you think people can say that to Pep? These, I'm
He's
No,
not
but
sure
that's
that
the
dynamic
Pep. That's the
no,
Pep.
it's
The
right,
source
and
is
that's
different.
why
He's
what I
on
was
that
about
right.
to mention is
The levels is different.
before the Sheffield United game, Arteta's press conference, they asked him, "Do you have a list?" And he smiled and said, "Yes, I do have a list."
Yeah, sort of.
So maybe coming from that Pep background of maybe
source
Pep's
is
more in
different,
charge
yeah.
of stuff, maybe he's coming in now and in negotiation said, "I need to have a part in these transfers and who we identify." Because under Emery, I think it was clear. You mentioned Partey as well. That came out after that. This summer he wanted Partey. So in 2 summers he wanted Fabinho, one of the best in the league now, and Partey, one of the best in Europe for the past couple seasons.
So he wanted a big CDM.
So we didn't give Emery even the right platform or good enough platform.
But to be fair to the board, though, for Emery, I do think one reason Emery took this position, and not to be sinister or play devil's advocate, you look at who really goes from Arsenal to PSG, where at PSG, everything you do down to your haircut is scrutinised. Arsenal, he had players to hide behind. Look how long it took people to say, oh, he doesn't need his own players and all that faff that people are going on with. I think he potentially relished and accepted the fact of, okay, you won't bring me my A-list, but if you give me C, D, and E and whatever, we'll work with it sort of thing. But carry on, Rob.
So you're suggesting that the PSG job is a bigger job
No.
than the Arsenal?
It clearly is, because it clearly is. Not in
You
terms
think so?
It clearly is.
It is now.
If you
I
don't
would
win
beg
the
to
Champions
differ.
League at PSG, you're on thin ice.
I think
I would
that
beg
pressure.
to differ.
There's more pressure.
It is.
You get one year.
Where's
that
the
you can get
expectation
sacked.
at this club? I love this club, and it's paining me to say it. If you do not
the
win a
expectation
trophy,
is low.
are you
Massive.
losing your job here? No, you're not.
PSG.
No, but in terms of a managerial CV or an ambition of a manager, you're telling me that PSG
Historically,
would
I'll
appeal
always
to
go
you
with
more than
Arsenal. Historically, I'll always go with the club I love in Arsenal. But PSG, you're working with borderline world-class players in Mbappe and Neymar, depending on what people want to say. The expectation is different. The way the clubs are, the structure, the very
No, but
teams.
internationally, surely Arsenal's more well known. than
I
PSG.
don't know now. I
Not
don't know
when
now.
you've got
Historically and all that.
Potentially,
I might be showing my age.
Yeah, I don't know now.
Potentially, yeah, but even that money league that come out recently, we've dropped out the top 10.
Yeah.
Like, how many English teams are above us now? 4?
No, but in many ways, Arsenal, and this is what's so disappointing about the board and the
We've got the
hierarchy and
blueprint
the
thing.
structure is that
But-
potentially this club is one of the biggest clubs in the world, man.
Yes.
They've effed
Surely.
they've completely effed it all up.
And that's why if someone like Arteta can come in and get this club, it's a sleeping giant, bro.
It is.
I genuinely don't believe you'll see Arsenal challenging winning the league until we get new owners. I
And that's
just
where
don't think we
Dangote
can do
comes
it.
in, because he's been talking recently about he's gonna buy Arsenal in 2021. It's been a long-running ambition of his. He's obviously got the oil refinery getting completed this year, which is going to bring in a hell. I think his net worth now is about 9 billion, 12 billion. I forgot what it was.
But with respect to Dangote, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this, I get the impression a lot of people, for whatever reason, and I don't really want to speculate too widely, don't seem to be taking this guy seriously. And it could be the same with the board. Because let's be honest, man, if you're Stan Kroenke and man, you're not going to sell that right now.
But
That's
the
what I
prob-
said. You're not.
I-
It's
I-
cash
I
cow.
It's a
think
cash cow.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
would you
How
sell
long
it?
are we
a
cash
family
cow for?
heirloom, man.
because we've been going down every year in terms of money.
He'll milk it
Well,
until
this
it's dry.
goes
Yeah.
back to what I was saying about how big the club is.
Until it's dry.
Last 3 years, they've lost out on Champions League money, which they were accustomed to before taking over Arsenal completely. So they've already gone down in terms of revenue, yeah? In the next 3 years, it doesn't look like we're going to come back to any sort of level. So they're still going to be down. If we go any further down now, then where is their money coming in?
There'll
Where
be
is-
some
I hear
positive
you,
for
but
them to
I would
find,
counter
man.
that by saying one thing, right? And this is a very important thing for a lot of people out there to recognise, right? Like, I'm sure you probably do, but on match days, Arsenal Football Club take more in revenue than any other club in
That's
Europe.
it.
Yeah, because we charge the most.
Exactly. And until
Exactly.
this model breaks, it's what it is.
And that's
People
what I'm
will
saying,
always
and
feel
that
the
is one of the
size.
reasons why the latter years of the Wenger,
Capitalising on a
it
love
went
for this
wrong
thing, man.
because his whole dynamic is that I will get you to a certain point, i.e. the Champions League. I won't spend too much money on players. I'm not going to trouble you, man, for too much money, but I can get you qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah, the money, yeah.
And that was seen as acceptable by the board.
Yeah, it was.
And that's why I agree with Curtis, is that as long as you got these guys in situ, not too much is going to change because they seem, you know what I mean,
Just at their
more than
mercy,
happy to
essentially,
accept
yeah.
a certain level.
And that's the thing.
Mediocre.
They're not ambitious enough.
As much as people are happy with Arteta, and I think he has started well, and we've seen things that we can, back him with. But did they do that because they know they can control him? First job, he's not going to make big demands. They can give him a little bit of money in the market. He's not going to say too much. He's quite easy for them to control. Because as you said, if they were so desperate to get him, what took so long?
Yeah.
But
Why
what
did
shocked
they
me
not
is that
give
he
him the
could have
job?
waited for the City job where he had everything. So we must have said something to him about this summer.
They
We
can't
must
sell.
have.
They're going to sell Arteta dreams like they sold us dreams. It's all about how they back that man. Because, listen, we don't know if he's going to be a success or not. But I'm supporting him all the way, and I truly believe he'll be good. But we'll get, even if he does as great as he can, we will get to a glass ceiling where we're looking at it and saying, okay, we're being outmatched by them man over there. You need to go and do this and that. And are they going to do that? I genuinely don't. I think they want to win, but I don't think this club genuinely wakes up and craves to be excellent in that regards. And it kills me to tell you that.
So obviously-
Let's keep it 100, yeah? The appointment, and again, I'm not being in any way critical of Arteta, but me and Curtis have spoken about this on our show. Talk is cheap show, check it out, by the way. It's
Shameless plug.
yeah, shameless advertising. But you know what? Let's be honest, it was a mutually beneficial situation.
Yeah, yeah.
There.
Arsenal had reached a stage whereby they'd gone after a few man, okay? It didn't work out. Arteta was available. Like you said, Arteta's not the kind of guy that's going to kick down the door and say, yeah, listen, man, I want a budget of
He might,
X amount of million. He's not going to do that right now, though,
Yeah,
is
of
he?
course, man.
Okay? And then with Arteta now, this is his first foray into management. He used to play for the club, you know what I mean? And he's seeing this as well. I don't want to be number 2 forever. I'm 38.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the youngest manager, right, in the
Yeah,
Premier
he is,
League?
he is.
This is great for him too. Because
Yeah.
even if he fails it, as long as he don't fail spectacularly, even if it don't quite work out,
move on.
he's going to get other
Established
work.
manager.
So when you think about that dynamic, it's favourable for both parties. For Arteta, he's like, wow, dream job, first job, I'm out there. With Arsenal, we get a man, he's not going to put too much pressure on us. Because if they'd have got a guy like, what's the guy's name? Escapes.
Simeone.
No, not Simeone, the Allegri, right?
Oh yeah.
want-
Clearly, yeah. All
He's
them sort of guys,
he's
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
come
yeah.
with a list of demands.
Yeah, of course.
He's going to say, I want this, I want that, I want to bring in my own team. Look, when
they'll
Arteta
all
started
be
the job, he
expensive
didn't
as
even
well,
have any
yeah, yeah.
coaching
No
stuff.
coaches.
But then I look at when Arteta said he was offered the job, 2018, and he said it wasn't the right time. So he probably listened to the club then, and then it wasn't really the terms he wanted. I think then potentially we wanted him a bit more than we did now,
Yeah.
it looked like, because he was kind of the go-to option that time.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what these two guys are saying, which I agree with 100%. The board have shown previously that they're not about that life.
They have,
use
and,
that term.
and
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
subject, to round it all off, do you think we are like Newcastle and Mike Ashley now? Then?
Well, let me put another question to you, man, now that you brought Ashley up. Look at some of them guys that we were linked with, like Brendan Rodgers and that, for example, Nuno. Why do you think they never came?
It's not worth
Could it have
leaving their
been
position
that
for
when
us.
we reached out, because we clearly did, when we reached out to them, maybe the signals that were coming back from Arsenal was like, well, this is going to be your budget,
No,
this is how we
restricted,
work.
yeah.
They
Them
would have
man, they're
all
going to look at
listened.
it. These
Yeah,
guys have
100.
got egos, right? They know that it's like anything. If you know that I've got a company and I want you to come and work for me, right? So you're already in a job, a good job. I want you to come and work for me. You're going to say to me, listen, man, yeah, I'll do it, but
What are you giving me?
Wait,
Yeah,
what you say?
what's tempting
And
me?
if
Like,
you
what
can't-
ambition is
if
there?
you can't offer me the
we
right
didn't
conditions.
have money either. Remember, we didn't have the money to even appoint someone, and I didn't believe that up until when Arteta looked like it was happening. It was delayed by 3 days because of a 1 million compensation. So that actually shows that we haven't, and that's why I asked the Mike Ashley question. Do you like? Well,
Yeah.
you said yeah. Do you two believe that's it for Arsenal now? We are under an owner for the foreseeable future that doesn't give a shit.
I don't think it will be not to a degree like Newcastle, but it's very much on the manager and the people slightly above. Like for Arteta, obviously Sanya and who they can bring on. I don't think the winning mentality is going to come trickling down from the manager, and I don't think he wakes up and says, I want to win champs and Prem and things like that. Clearly Arsenal is a business interest. Clearly if he was to put a list of sports that the Kroenkes care about, Arsenal, soccer as they'd probably call it, is not high up their list. So we're just purely collateral for business ventures and a family heirloom. So while it won't be that bad, nah man, it's nothing significant.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it now, we're over 30 points behind Liverpool. We were top of the league. We're further away now than I can remember as ever being in terms of winning the league.
Yeah.
I don't see anything major being done to stop that from happening. And I don't see... I mean, we're in danger, if we're honest, of being overtaken by teams like Leicester. Let's be real. We can't
Some
keep,
would argue already have.
we can't keep talking about the
Tenth
size
for a
of the
reason.
club and the fan base. That doesn't do anything on the pitch. So they need to sort the team out. They need to back Arteta. And
Significantly.
yeah, significantly. He needs big
And I
money.
think that's a good way to round this episode up. Curtis, Deluded,
Thanks
Laurie,
for having me,
thanks
bro.
for coming
Thanks,
on.
bro.
This has been the Supporters Club. Let us know what you think in the comments below. The Arsenal hierarchy. Who's impressed you? Who hasn't? Will Arsenal ever come out of this Kroenke era?